So I'm Sean O'Mara, and I've been with Lesway for about a year now. And basically, I'm doing everything from driving a truck to filing documents to any sort of odd jobs around the company, kind of in a scope of practice, which is anywhere from between the office management to driving a truck on a night shift. Anything in between, I try to fill those shoes, and we're trying to fill them permanently as we grow. Yeah, absolutely. So Lesway Transportation is a local trucking company outside of Ottawa. We're dealing in break bulk commodities, basically transporting anything that fits into a dump truck on a much larger scale, taking it to anywhere in Canada. And started out with one truck, and we're steadily growing and having to meet the needs of the organization with HR matters. So right now we have one sole owner, and we have three office personnel. We just got one full-time office manager who is going to be leading the way in the office management while I then focus on driving. Out on the road, we are varying between, let's say, 10 to 15 drivers as employees, and we're now branching off into the contractor side of staffing. And so currently we are at a very good size with a good complement of employees, but have to prepare ourselves to grow to that next step with outside help. So Vanessa is the office man. Our owner is Brandon Lesway of Lesway. Training, absolutely training. It's so difficult because unlike a retail store or a coffee shop or any other office setting, our staff, if they're doing their job right, are far from home at odd hours. So the hardest and most difficult part is getting everyone not only trained on the mandated provincial requirements, but then also training in policies that are work specific. So because we deal with heavy equipment, different types of equipment, there's so much training involved in how to dump, how to load, and what to do at each individual customer. And it's near impossible for us to hold a collective staff meeting and cover it because if we do our jobs correctly, we're not here. And when our office staff and our ownership are both then hopping in trucks because of our growth, there's literally no one here, and we needed that backbone to fall back onto with HR. Oh, well, we can obviously get fined by the province. We could be fined by different boards and committees. We could lose work to different clients and competitors if we're going on to client sites with improper training or not clear understanding of policies or no acknowledgement of that training having been completed. So the ramifications of not having this covered could be a complete loss of business. So we began looking for an outsourced HR solution back in February, and we went through a few Ontario and Canadian-based solutions. Each and every one that we went through, except for HR Covered, took forever to get back to me, were ridiculously priced, or weren't as comprehensive. In the spring, things were very busy and I was often on the road. And I would say 90% of the time that I was dealing with Colin as we were getting set up, I would have to bail on a meeting or forget to reply to an email. So right from the first step of getting involved with HR Covered, there's been constant communication, religious follow-up, and a very clear direction and absolute transparency on HR Covered's part as to what the expectation is from us as a client. So once we then finally decided that HR Covered was going to be the best financial solution for, basically what our goals were this year, right from the get-go, within an hour of confirming and signing the agreement, I was put in touch with Margaret. She did a welcome call. We then started going through our current employee list and what it is that we have to do. So the whole process took about 3 months, but once we decided to get moving, HR Covered had everything ready to go at the pull of a trigger. Absolutely quick and concise. Margaret has been on the ball with clear answers. She's never once said, I'll have to get back to you on that. She's always known off the top of her head the answer to our concerns. Our biggest thing right now is with our growth that we're experiencing, having everyone brought up to the same standard of training. And so she's been working tirelessly on making it easy for us by getting an online portal set up with each individual login for our employees and just completely relieving that stress. So I know that when we have an HR matter, by contacting Margaret at HR Covered, it's already taken care of before it's done. It's just an absolute peace of mind having her work with us. we're from a ground up company that started with one truck that our owner drove. We've kind of had to adapt as we go. So we're not coming from an HR background. We're not coming from a management background. So the time saved having to go through and get each requirement and figure it out and make mistakes that would ultimately cost money, it's been absolutely priceless, for the nominal amount that HR covered charged to save us going through and buying individual courses with individual logins and trying to bring people in and pay them an hourly wage to sit here with, sometimes spotty Wi-Fi. When we just looked at the basic numbers, although the upfront cost for HR covered was more than if we did it ourselves, the protection that we have with professionals getting involved with us is absolutely invaluable. So for myself personally, by not having to worry about the HR for a dozen employees, I've been able to go ahead and align the business to be ready to be compliant with the electronic logs mandate in Canada. So I've been able to do a bit more of the fleet maintenance and fleet operational side of it. Vanessa's been freed up to go after new work and get other things on the back end of the business freed up. So ultimately today is Friday and I'm able to go out and drive a truck, and Vanessa's going to be able to finish at a proper time today because we're not stuck muddling through HR stuff that we might not be as comprehensive on as Margaret. So it's freeing us up to get more done in a day, and in trucking, time is money. Absolutely. Colin not only offered a very competitive package, from HR covered to our company, but he also then followed through, with just a personal promise, because my life was so hectic that I couldn't meet a deadline for a discount that might have been given. And he was able to extend that on good faith. So that way we could still join the HR covered family and get those benefits that were made available. And then there was no pressure with an impending deadline. The whole experience has just been absolutely phenomenal. In any business or in any industry, especially in 2021 and the way that we're watching society go, clients, customers, consumers, shippers, receivers, liability is everything to all of these people. And there's two scopes of view. There's one on our behalf as an employer where we're trying to mitigate liability. And then there are some people who might have nefarious intent who are seeking an opening in a liability for personal gain. So if you're walking into a situation where you're even looking up HR covered, you don't have your HR covered yourself. So by just hiring the professionals right out of the gate and getting that starting gun at the firing line, sorry, let me correct that. By being at the starting line and having that firing gun at your mark and you're ready, set, go, you're just protecting yourself, you're protecting your employees, you're protecting your income. Because if you make one mistake yourself by not being an HR professional, you're opening yourself up to court cases, legal matters, fines, retributions. And if you're in a situation where you're even looking in the market of a third-party HR company, there's only one stop at HR covered, because right out of the gate, you're covered and you're mitigating all those liabilities that for yourself, you're trying to minimize, that someone else looking at your business might try to exploit. So going back to my first point when we began this, if we're doing our jobs right, the yard is empty, the employee parking lot is full, and there's no one here. Literally, if we're doing our job correctly, the lights are on and no one's home. So by having HR covered in our back pocket to be able to be on the road and have these calls and call Margaret and say, hey, we need this policy written, or God forbid, this employee might have made a mistake and we need something written up, in an employee file for a reprimand, let's say. The ease of it being that anywhere that I have cellular service, I have an HR department, it's invaluable. I've said invaluable a lot. I've said priceless a lot. And I think that's a true testament to HR covered. It's the biggest thing in trucking and transportation is being able to be anywhere and still be protected. HR covered is like the fuel card of human resources. Like when we're out on the road, we're still covered. We have that safety net. We'll make it back safely. We don't have to wait till we're back at the office to muddle through paperwork. So this whole safety net behind us is worth the money. If I went out and I bought each individual course for each individual employee and then had to hound them down and track them down and make sure they're doing it and send them reminders like Colin did to me, I would be up for renewal on this training by the time I get everyone through it.